Folks, now that Street Fighter 6 is out, people are talking about all the usual stuff. You know, what are the best combos for my character? What are the best supers? What are my best special moves to use in matches? The best normals, all that stuff. But I wanted to talk about something I don't see a lot of discussion about, which is what are the best taunts in Street Fighter 6? Some of you might not know this, but in Street Fighter 6, there are some taunts that actually have a gameplay effect. They're not just for, you know, insulting or goading your opponent like they are in most games. So today I'm gonna run through every single character in the game that has a functional taunt. We're gonna discuss what they do, and then I'm gonna discuss a bit of, you know, what I hope to see from taunts in the future, because not every character in the game has a taunt that actually does something useful, and I think it would be cool if Capcom could add more, or at least when they're adding new DLC characters, keep that as something they could have in mind to, you know, set the characters apart and make them a little bit more interesting. But first, I wanted to give you some background on functional taunts in Street Fighter. The game that is probably most famous for its taunts is Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. In this game, there are many taunts that can damage the opponent. You can see they only do 1 point of damage, but hey, you can at least hit the opponent with it. But in addition to that, taunts actually confer various bonuses to your character. So you can see, for example, Yun, that attack does 20 damage, but if I taunt first, it does 21, and I can actually stack them. If I get multiple taunts going, boom, now it does 25, so his will increase the attack power of his next move. Ryu's taunt is actually pretty interesting. If you watch his stun bar there, the red bar below his health bar, when he taunts, you can see the stun bar starts draining a little bit faster. So now he's going to recover and be less likely to get stunned. Q is famous for having probably the best taunt in the game. His taunt increases his defense value. So you can see this attack does 21 damage to Q, but if he taunts, now it only does 18, and he can taunt up to 3 times total, and now it only does 13. So he starts taking significantly less damage from every attack once you get a bunch of taunts off. So this is a really important and viable strategy for the character to try to win. Ken's taunt is actually one of the more powerful taunts in the game as well. His taunt will increase the power of all the hits in his next combo. So you can see this combo does 30 damage after a taunt, but it only is going to do 23 with no taunt. Ken's can also hit with the opponent up to twice, but you know, that doesn't really matter too much, but it is kind of funny. Here in Street Fighter 6, Ken has a very similar looking taunt, but unfortunately, as you can see, it does not hit the opponent in this game, nor does it affect his damage. So you can see that combo did 1770 after a taunt. With no taunt, it does 1770 as well. So there actually is no buff from this taunt in Street Fighter 6, which I find a little bit disappointing. I think that if they were gonna put functional taunts in the game, they could at least bring back some of the Third Strike ones. And from my understanding, there are no taunts in this game that confer any kind of passive buff like we saw in Street Fighter 6. So I didn't test everything, but from what I've seen, no taunts give you like additional damage on your next combo. None of them give you additional meter gain or anything like that. It's my understanding that that just doesn't exist as a mechanic in this game, which I find a little bit disappointing. Taunts are really high commitment in this game. You can see they last a long time. So I think it would be cool if they could at least give you a little something for doing it. But anyway, I'll stop rambling about that. Let's actually get in and talk about what the different functional taunts in the game do. All right, so first up is Blanka. A lot of you have probably seen this one already because he has one of the best taunts in the game, I would say. You can see Blanka, he can put down the Blanka-chan doll, and he can electrocute it and send it towards the opponent. But once he uses up the 3 dolls that he starts with, he's pretty much done. There's not really a good way for him to refill during the match, except for taunt. His back plus taunt, he will juggle the dolls and he gets 1 doll back. So, you know, again, this takes a long time. It's a long animation, but considering this is literally your only way to get the dolls back, you know, it's pretty useful to have, even though I don't think you're going to be doing it that much. So I already showed you Chun-Li's taunt. This damages the opponent if it hits them. It does 300 damage, which is 1 jab's worth of damage, which is actually non-trivial if we compare it to the 1 damage that we were doing in Third Strike. And not only does it do 300 damage, but this is the only taunt that can be used in combos. Okay, I might be being a little generous by saying that you can combo into it. You can land it when they're dizzy. Okay, which, you know, it's not super easy to do, but hey, at least you can guarantee this hit. If your goal is really to win the match off of a taunt, I think this is your best way to do it because you can actually guarantee that taunt hit and the damage is not bad. Lily, on the other hand, her taunt with the camera only does 1 damage. Same as third strike. It doesn't confer any kind of buff to her either, so this is kind of a bad move. Also, you can't even do it while they're dizzy. You can see here, we get the dizzy and I'm taunting as fast as I can, but he just falls too fast. It doesn't work. But Lily's taunt does do one other interesting thing, which is because the camera flash is treated as a projectile, you can actually stop fireballs with the camera flash, which is kind of funny and cool, and I think that if you pull this off in a match, you deserve a pat on the back. But it is worth noting this does not stop EX projectiles. You still get hit, and it doesn't stop super projectiles either. I tried that, and it's no good. But normal projectiles, one-hit projectiles, it will stop them, which is a pretty cool thing for a taunt to do. Next up, there are a few characters in the game whose taunts can actually be used to dodge attacks. Dalsim has 2 of them actually. His back taunt, you can see, is going to float above low attacks. It is very punishable, so I don't think this is actually going to be useful, but it's a funny thing that you can go for, and you might catch them off guard. His forward taunt as well, you can see, has this crazy animation, and that is going to completely float above your low attacks as well. DJ's taunt is kind of the opposite. He actually gets very low to the ground, and you can see this is going to let him go under all kinds of projectiles and attacks that will just sail over his head. And Jamie's neutral taunt is actually crazy how much stuff this goes under. He gets low. You can see all kinds of attacks will just sail over him during this. Like, he gets so far down on the ground. So again, the recovery is really long. I don't know if this is actually useful, but if you really want to troll, this is a really funny way to do it. Duck under a super or something like that and, you know, send a message, I guess, to your opponent. All right, and the last couple taunts here are some of the most unique taunts I think I've seen in a fighting game. You can see Marisa forward taunt. She has a hit of armor. Are you kidding me? She even tells you the first hit is free and she will absorb any first hit you throw at her, which is really cool, I think, and very in character for Marisa. And then finally, Honda as well. He says, just bring it, and he will absorb whatever attack you throw at him. But of course, these do lose to armor break. So if you go for anything that is fully charged up, you know, from Marisa that breaks armor, that is going to break through these. But it is a really cool and in-character thing for these guys to have, considering they are the 2 sort of armor-focused characters in the game. Honda having armor on EX headbutt and stuff like that. So I thought that this was really cool, but I want to hear from you guys. First of all, are there any taunts that I missed? I went through and I tested every single taunt in the game, but it's possible that there's some esoteric effect that just completely passed me by. So if I missed something, let me know down in the comments, and also let me know what you think about this whole concept. Do you think there should be more of these? Do you think taunts should be safer? Because I do think that the fact that taunts take like 300 frames to come out and you literally can't cancel it, there's nothing you can do during the taunt animation, it's a little bit punishing. So I think I would be okay with a taunt buff and maybe give them to more characters, give functional taunts to more characters, because I do think they're fun. But I'm curious what you guys think. This is not something we see in every fighting game, so I'm glad they're at least experimenting with it in Street Fighter 6. But with that, I'm going to end the video. If you guys enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. And with all that, I'll say adieu. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.